HBO's Watchmen is the most disappointing thing since my son. So I just watched Watchmen and it was really bad. No. How about Watchmen fucking sucks? Yeah, whatever. I honestly don't even know where to begin with this one. Apparently, according to pretty much everyone, I'm wrong and this is actually the greatest show of all time. And actually not hot garbage. Oh yeah, also, spoilers. Be warned, I'm gonna spoil the whole fucking thing. Now let's get this right out of the way right out the bat. Racism is a not good. I know, that's a really hot take. Unfortunately, I feel that I have to address that because for whatever reason, there are people disliking the show for racist reasons. However, there are legitimate gripes that I have with the show. Now, you are certainly allowed to disagree with me. That's fine. Everyone's allowed to be wrong sometimes. Number 1. Adaptation or Badaptation. 2009, a year full of wonderful movies, especially adaptations. Now, is Zack Snyder's Watchmen a bad movie? No. Is it a great movie? No. Is it an alright adaptation of a source material that is notoriously hard to adapt? Yeah. Personally, I'd rate it about a 5 out of 10. It's fine. It's alright. Now, the bad with that one is dumb costumes, over-the-top action, too on-the-nose, hello darkness, my old friend, or sometimes even bizarre soundtrack choices. The insistence on showing as much blue wang as possible. The Ultimate Edition is really the way to watch the movie if you're trying to get an actual experience that is close to that of reading the graphic novel, not the theatrical edition. The good. The insistence on almost panel-for-panel, shot-for-shot recreation of the graphic novel. Jackie Earle Haley, the Dr. Manhattan sequence reminiscing, or I guess experiencing all of time. Its biggest change from the source material would probably have to be the ending. Either way, there's a huge catastrophic event that can be pinned on one specific enemy for the world to unite over. But how about HBO's Watchmen? What kind of an adaptation is it? Before we answer that question, we need to enter Number 2. A mystery boxing match with Damon Lindelof.
What are stories but mystery boxes?
Lindelof, despite not outright saying this, is an alumnus of the Mystery Box School of Screenwriting. He's a part of the Bad Robot Posse. What this basically entails is creating a story where you're presented with a mystery. It's not important what the answer to said mystery is, just that there is a mystery. Lindelof is responsible for such critical darlings as Lost and Prometheus. 2 narratives nearly everybody would say are satisfying experiences. Okay, actually, I kind of like Prometheus. It's really pretty to look at. I'm sorry, please don't hate me. But yeah, both Lost and Prometheus have mystery-based premises that are either not explained or explained really sloppily. The point of the mystery box is to create a hook for the audience, solely to reel them in without even the intent to explain whatever it is they set up. Who is this guy? Why is he doing this? Why are they wearing these masks? Why is he a secret racist? Why Tulsa? Why does she need to know this? Who is this? Why is she doing this? Why is she a secret racist? Why is he a secret racist? Who is this? Why is he doing this? Why is he a secret god? And so on. These details and more will be explained further in my highly scientific analysis. Number 3. What's the point? Watchmen is a sequel series to the events of the graphic novel of the same name, but 34 years after the story that we all know. But what does it have to do with the original? Well, it takes place in an entirely different town, Tulsa, Oklahoma, with an entirely different cast of characters.
Who the fuck are you? Pirate Jenny.
Red Scare.
Wow, cool.
Except for 3 of the original characters who all play minor parts in the series. Is that inherently a problem? Nope. It does, however, make me question why they even bothered having this in the Watchmen universe if the themes, characters, and settings seem so vastly different to what the original was. Oh yeah, because name recognition and things we know. Ticking clocks, smiley faces, owls, Rorschach, masks, Vietnam, Dr. Manhattan on Mars. Do you remember this? Will you like this if we show you things you know? Well, we already know these things, we've seen all this stuff already. How about the new characters? Get ready for a fun new cast of characters and Number 4. With backstory like this, who needs a main plot? In most movies or shows, you have an even distribution of setup, or exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and a conclusion. Here is a highly scientific and detailed graph of the contents of HBO's Watchmen in this respect. Now, as you can see, the vast majority of this show is exposition or setup. Then the show quickly spikes to a climax, and very quickly reaches its very sloppy conclusion. Now let me get this out of the way too. Exposition is not necessarily a bad thing. It's how you implement it that makes it good or not. Now let us thoroughly go through each episode. Episode 1. Flashback to thing, exposition of a thing. Remember the squids? Okay, I actually kind of like the squids because if you don't have the constant reminder of the threat of interdimensional psychic squids, then the world would just revert back to the chaos it was before Ozymandias' plan. Random cutaway to a guy. Yes, I know who this guy is, I'll get there later. Shh. All concluded with an end that I guess wants the audience to go, oh damn, and wait what? At the same time. Oh damn. What? Episode 2. Flashback to thing that ultimately doesn't really tie into the greater narrative. The most annoying Q&A of all time.
Who are you?
I'm the one who strung your chief of police up.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
You're 90 fucking years old. How the fuck did you hang him?
psychic powers.
Is that right?
Maybe, I'm Dr. Manhattan.
He lives on fucking Mars.
Fine. I'm not Dr. Manhattan.
No shit. Who are you?
I'm the one who strung up your chief of police, so I have to give it to you in pieces.
You haven't given me shit. Who are you?
I'm the one who strung up your chief of police.
No, you're not. Who are you?
I'm Dr. Manhattan.
Who are you?
I'm
Psycho Mantis.
Flashback to the exposition from the first episode.
Welcome to Exposition Park.
Mystery Man and the play of things you know. Remember Dr. Manhattan? Oh my gosh, how could this have happened? What a mystery! Episode 3. Oh hey, it's Laurie. Okay, so I actually like that she's really jaded and cynical when it comes to superhero types.
Wow. Cool.
Alright, so back to my cynicism. Laurie is now here to be shown and find out all the things we've already seen. Yo, check out that misdirection. This guy again, but now he's been a guy you know this whole time. What's been the point of his cutaways though? I don't know. A joke across the entire episode reminding you of the better story that you read. Oh my gosh, more mysteries. I'm so mystified. And fooled. Episode 4. I feel like Lindelof is trying to tell me something here, but I'm really not sure what. The introduction of the most annoying character.
I sure am.
She's smart and knows literally everything that is going to happen. Until she doesn't! Exposition Park, the lost girl. The Silver Streaker, also known as Lube Man, shows up and then is never explained or shown again.
The fuck?
Okay, wait, hold up. I did some extra research, and while I'm not wrong that the show doesn't explain or show Lube Man again, there's a bizarre HBO website where they hint that Agent Petey, this guy, might be Lube Man. I'm just gonna say this. In the context of the show, the fact that Lube Man shows up at all has no importance on the story as a whole. A tour of the most best clock ever. So I guess that's actually supposed to be Adrian based on what we know later. Is that interesting? No. Do I care? No. Is it funny? Yes.
He looks like shit.
More pointless Adrian junk, a marital spat, and an off-screen flashback dream. Remember TikTok?
TikTok.
Episode 5. I like this episode. I would have said that I loved it, if not for the ending. Every single part of this episode is so good, but the end is so very, very bad. Tim Blake Nelson is a gem. The opening flashback is, dare I say, the only good flashback or exposition utilized in the show. Remember how I said that exposition could be used well? Well, this does it. It sets the stage for what it was really like at ground zero of the giant squid event. You know, the event that almost entirely shapes their world as we know it, as well as providing so much context for the character Lookingglass. Why he is messed up, why he's so paranoid. Other characters in the show may have more exposition or backstory or flashbacks than Lookingglass does, but more doesn't always equal better. This episode is a good character study one-shot until the end. It ends with Lookingglass infiltrating the 7th Cavalry hideout. We learn that Senator Keene Jr. is a bad guy. Who'd have thought? Then he plays the recruitment video for Lookingglass, I guess. This video is absolute proof that Damon Lindelof does not understand or like what happened in the original graphic novel. Under the premise of the video being addressed to President Robert Redford, yes, Robert Redford, Adrian Veidt explains what he did, how he did it, and how he plans to maintain the peace.
And the only way to stave off mankind's extinction is with a weapon more powerful than any atomic device. That weapon is fear. And I, Mr. President, am its architect. In 24 hours' time, that's 7 years ago for you, an extra-dimensional monster will materialize in Manhattan, unleashing a psychic blast that kills half the city's population and traumatizes millions more. Yet the monster will not come from another dimension at all. Will it come from me? An elaborate, meticulously engineered hoax to save the world.
While also revealing that he knew Redford would become president because he would make it so. I don't want to be that guy, but Adrian Veidt would not have done this. Adrian Veidt wanted the smallest amount of people, preferably just himself, to know the reality of the giant squid attack. This is why he killed the comedian and a whole gaggle of scientists who helped work on this. This is why he convinced the Watchmen to not tell anyone for the greater good, and how he convinced Dr. Manhattan to keep this secret at the cost of killing Rorschach. There is no reason for this tape to exist at all. No one needs to know why it happened, because they're all convinced already that the squid attack was real. Sure, Rorschach's Journal made it to a news outlet, but they're only famous for crazy conspiracy theories. The vast majority of the world's population would not buy into that. The only reason I conceive of this tape to exist is so that the show could happen. Without it, you wouldn't have all these people now aware of what really happened and now trying to do their plan that I'll get into later. For gosh sake, you had a good one, Damon. Then you went and blew it. Oh yeah, and Angela took some meds. Episode 6. This entire episode is literally all just flashbacks of Will's life and that he was Hooded Justice all along. That's it. Episode 7. This episode is all Angela flashbacks interspersed between Lady True just knowing everything, I guess.
Are we going to keep fucking around here?
Laurie figuring out what we all knew already, and Adrian Veidt being pointless.
The defense rests.
Dr. Manhattan is this guy too, I guess, and racist wanna be him during one of the most tone-deaf lines of dialogue I have ever heard.
And it is extremely difficult to be a white man in America right now. So I'm thinking I might try being a blue one.
There was an elephant too, I guess, but don't worry, it has zero importance to anything. Episode 8. I see what you did there. Are you tired of flashbacks? Yes? Well, too bad. Here's a ton of them. Sometimes flashbacks within flashbacks. So Dr. Manhattan got bored really quickly with the prospect of creating life elsewhere in the universe and just decided to go check out a bar in Vietnam. I'll delve further into this in part 6. He and Angela form a relationship of sorts and then develop issues specific to Dr. Manhattan's perception of time, which we've already seen before with John and Laurie, but whatever. Adrian Veidt makes a stop being an annoying partner thingamajig for Dr. Manhattan so he can be happy with Angela, in return for straight-up Farnsworthing.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Back to 2019, and Dr. Manhattan is himself again. He and Angela create a paradox, then they fight the 7th Cavalry. Dr. Manhattan straight up thinks a bunch of dudes dead until he doesn't, allowing his entirely preventable capture. And Adrian fucks around some more. Episode 9. Okay, so I really don't know where to begin, but here goes. So Adrian, you know, the smartest man in the world, is filming the absolute dumbest confessional with an entire audience of crew working at his base in Kandar. During this, some random Vietnamese lady who turns out to be Lady True's mother, later mother-daughter, gets a hold of Adrian's apparently easily accessible vials of his juice and self-inserts it.
Fuck you, Ozymandias.
Yep, that's how Lady True came to be. I'll get into this in part 5. Time skip, she then begs Adrian for money, he says no, and she goes ahead and earns trillions anyway because she's the smartest, I guess.
I'm the smartest woman in the world.
Finally, Adrian leaves Waste of Time Land and becomes a statue. The racists have Dr. Manhattan in a watch battery cage. No, I'm not joking. True foils their plans. Racist man turns into goop that lets Dr. Manhattan teleport his friends to Carmack. Still not joking. He dies, they fire frozen squid bullets, yes, I'm serious, to save the day, killing True and many others. Boring talking. Remember when Dr. Manhattan said he could theoretically give someone his powers by putting it in an egg and somebody consuming it? Well, I guess he maybe literally did that. Or maybe not. Who knows? It's a mystery box after all. Actually, it's a mystery egg now! A mystery fucking egg! Number 5. A conversation on machinations. I'm trying to do an Adrian Veidt impression, I'm not really good at it. Anyway. I think we need to start untangling this web by going to the first chronological event after the end of the graphic novel, Adrian Veidt and the dumbest home video of all time. I know I've already talked about this fucking video, but it's beyond stupid for someone like Adrian Veidt to purposefully do. Can smart people do dumb things? Of course. But not at the behest of his entire character. The fact that he makes this video in full view of a crew working in Carfax is just not what Adrian Veidt would do. He also wouldn't let any of the crew working for him who were witnesses to everything live. But he does for some reason. Yes, I know they're established to be Vietnamese, but there is absolutely no guarantee that A, they don't speak English, or B, they don't understand what it is they're cleaning up / working on. Those are just not risks that someone like Adrian Veidt would or should take. For whatever reason, he had a crew working there. And for whatever reason, his private chambers were easily accessible. And for whatever reason, he keeps tons of vials of his sperm there that are also easily accessible. These circumstances led to, beyond true, self-inserting Adrian's sperm, regardless of the fact that conception is not a guarantee, and getting pregnant with who we know as Lady True. And then she was allowed to leave Carmack alive despite the possibility of her and presumably every other crew member potentially ruining the world peace that he had worked so hard to get. All of that had to happen for Lady True to be born. I don't want to hear anything about how Laurie's birth was an incredible coincidence that moved Dr. Manhattan's cold heart, because the situation leading to Lady True's birth is fucking ludicrous. She grows up, becomes a trillionaire just like that because she's the smartest person in the world, I suppose.
I'm the smartest woman in the world.
And wants to become Dr. Manhattan. Now back to the worst video of all time. Senator Keene Jr., a man who is basically the personification of the idea of the alt-right, sees this tape and decides to start a culture war in Tulsa specifically. The White Knight. During the White Knight, some goons who attack the A-bars get obliterated, but one gets teleported to Gila Flats. This leads them to believe Carol A-bar may be Dr. Manhattan. Unfortunately, Reflex Manhattan decided to do the one thing outside of putting a name tag on that would indicate that he is Dr. Manhattan. Anyway, the Crawfords are sent to get in the A-bar's good graces and see if he really is Dr. Manhattan. The 7th Cavalry switches gears from that point from the race war to watch collecting instead. You know, to build a cage out of watch batteries, I guess? I don't know. Ultimately with the same goal as Lady True, becoming Dr. Manhattan. Speaking of, Dr. Manhattan got bored of creating life very, very quickly, and then hooked up with Angela A-bar just because. Back to the present, Angela asks Dr. Manhattan to ask Will back in the early 2000s, how did you know Judd Crawford is a member of Cyclops, the 7th Cavalry? Thus creating a paradox.
Who's Judd Crawford?
The only reason Will knows about the 7th Cavalry is because of this paradox.
The paradox.
And the only reason True knew about the 7th Cavalry and their plans is because of this paradox as well, since Will would have never gone to ask for her assistance if he were never made aware. Dr. Manhattan essentially lets himself get captured by the 7th Cavalry and ultimately killed. Lady True knows everything about their plan, she's smart you know, and takes over from there. The Goop teleport brings the Squid bullet fall and the rest is history. Do note how the vast majority of everything I've mentioned here happens or is revealed in the final episode or two. So much of what happened beforehand was a waste of time, pointless, dumb, lame, stinky, poopy, dumb, lame, poopy, dumb. Number 6. Why did this happen? So that it could happen. Now that we know the extensive through line of how everything happened, let's discuss why it is the bad. I've already spoken ad nauseum about the existence of both Adrian's confession tape and the existence of Lady True. It should be abundantly clear how those two things are stinky poo-poo bad. Why was Adrian on Europa? Just because, or more likely it was a mystery box and could provide some pad in episodes. Then he leaves just because all he does in the show is provide a magic ring and some seafood Gatling rounds. Angela A-bar. I just wish she were given more to do in the show. She's meant to be the protagonist of the show, I feel, but honestly, she feels like she's more of a side character due to the fact that she's pretty tertiary to the climax/main story. She seems to be the focus of the show, but she has zero impact on how the show turns out. She's always asking questions, and everyone is always giving the audience, I mean her, all the information. So essentially I'm asking, why does the show seem to focus so much around her when she has nothing to do with the actual main plot or climax? Lube Man? Just why? Laurie ended up not doing much either. She, like Angela, is just there to be told things. What was the purpose for the Rorschach masks? There was no purpose for the Cyclopses, or the 7th Cavalry, to adorn the Rorschach masks. Yes, Rorschach was pretty anti-government, kind of racist, kind of sexist. One thing I would not call Rorschach, however, is selfish. And he would not be down with killing Dr. Manhattan for selfish reasons, or the prospect of world peace. Frankly, if Rorschach were around, he would most certainly plan to bring down Cyclops and the 7th Cavalry. He's not a big fan of murderers. I guess 7th Cavalry could be attempting to besmirch Rorschach's image, even more than it already has been, but the show makes no reference that they're trying to do such a thing. As it stands, the masks are just there to remind you, the viewer, of Rorschach. And now on to the biggest why. Dr. Manhattan just gave up creating life elsewhere in the universe so that the show could happen. And just a reminder, Dr. Manhattan has the power to do literally anything and is essentially timeless. When he got captured, all I kept thinking to myself was, why doesn't he just think that man dead? Why doesn't he just teleport to any other position in the universe at that moment? Why not use his foresight to prevent such a thing from ever happening? Well, let's just break those down, shall we? Well, maybe he's just not that powerful. Nobody is, though. He is. We've seen this. We've seen him be this powerful, if not more. Well, actually, in the original graphic novel, Dr. Manhattan reveals he's just a puppet who sees the strings and just sort of goes along with whatever the natural flow of time is meant to be, much like how he knew that Laurie had cheated on him with Dan, but he didn't cry until after that information actually gets revealed, so he couldn't actually change the fact that he was going to die. And to that I say, then how in the hell was he able to just go the fuck ahead and create a paradox with giving Will information he would have never gotten if not through the interference of what would have been the regular flow of time?
I'm confused.
You're confused.
Isn't it a good thing that Judd Crawford is dead? Does it matter where the idea came from?
Yes, it matters. I only asked the old man about Crawford because he murdered him.
The chicken or the egg?
What?
The paradox. Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Potentially, and this is the most likely answer, Dr. Manhattan wanted to die. I can get why someone like him, burdened with immortality and knowledge, would want to die, and that this very specific situation is the perfect scenario for him to finally die. I can't, however, really get why he'd want to die after only 60 years of being Dr. Manhattan, and only 34 years of attempting to create life out in the universe, considering how incredibly short an amount of time that is in a cosmic sense. Maybe after a couple centuries or millennia, someone like him would conceivably give up on the creation of life, but 34 years is a joke. It's a joke. Also, can I just say this? Dr. Manhattan looks really bad to me in this. Maybe I'm on an island on that, much like I am for disliking the show, but this effect just looks terrible to me. I think it looks really bad. Number 7, Nothing Ends. Okay, let's bring this to a close with some of the things that I did like. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's score for this series is fucking phenomenal. I know these guys are always doing quality work, but hot damn, is the music good. I've already mentioned that I love Tim Blake Nelson's performance as Looking Glass, and that 90% of episode 5 is fantastic. Regina King is very obviously a great actress as well. She can be dramatic, funny, and charismatic as heck. Hey, and good news for me. It looks like either we're not getting a season 2, or if we do, Damon Lindelof won't be involved. Either way is a win for me, honestly. Pretty much all of my gripes with the show are showrunning and writing, which Lindelof was heavily involved in. I don't want to hate anything that I watch. I don't want to have these kind of gripes or complaints. I just feel as though this show could have been done far better. And it seems to me that there is no one out there that feels this way, or at least no one out there has a voice to confirm the sort of things that I've been feeling. So I just wanted to put this out there for anyone out there that was like me, that you're not on an island, you didn't like the show, that's fine. You're allowed to like it. I don't mean to cause any grief. You can like these things and you can just disagree with everything I said. I feel that my gripes are pretty sound. Feel free to disagree, that's fine. It's totally fine. I feel like if the show had a better emphasis on what the actual plot was, as opposed to an emphasis on giving literally everyone episodes and episodes worth of flashbacks or exposition, this is going to be a heavy warrant for the show for me. If you disagree with me, that's fine. You're just not allowed to comment that. It's illegal. I don't make the rules, I'm sorry. You have to agree. I apologize. Anyway, check out The Boys, or The Witcher. The former is really good so far with its first season outing, and the latter is surprisingly really fun. I had expected to hate it. That's it, I'm out.